Whispers of a forgotten ship across the endless stars. Stories often begin as whispers carried through static and fear, whispered by traders, smugglers, and soldiers who claim to have seen something impossible. They speak of a ghost ship, a human vessel from ancient wars, a ship that once turned entire fleets into dust. Its name was Valkyrie. Most aliens laughed when they heard the tale. They said humans loved drama. They said humanity always exaggerated their past. But deep inside every captain's heart, there was a tiny spark of doubt, because the human legends always carried a strange truth hidden inside them. Admiral Kareth of the Zorak Empire was one of those who mocked the legend. He was proud, cold, and sure of his empire's strength. He had destroyed rebel fleets, crushed colonies, and now he was sent to patrol the rim sectors after reports of strange energy signals. His fleet of 35 ships moved in formation, scanning the empty darkness. The signals were faint but persistent, a rhythmic pulse echoing through hyperspace. Not natural, not random, too controlled. His science officer tried to trace the origin, but every attempt failed, as if something was deliberately hiding. Kareth smirked and ordered a forward sweep. "It is probably human junk," he said with pride. "Another relic from their dead planet." His bridge crew laughed quietly. None of them noticed the lights flicker. None of them felt the faint vibration under their boots. Far beyond their scanners, something watched them. A shadow gliding between stars, no heat, no emissions. Only a cold echo of its existence, its hull reflected no light. Its presence erased itself from every radar. Yet it moved with purpose, slow and patient. Minutes turned to hours, and Kareth began to feel uneasy. The rhythmic pulse grew stronger. Every few seconds it repeated, like a heartbeat, like breathing. His communications officer tried to reach command, but the long-range array suddenly went dark. Then everything changed. All ships across the fleet lost power for exactly 4.7 seconds. Total silence filled the bridge. Life support stopped, weapons froze, and every display went black. Kareth felt his heart freeze, the cold vacuum of fear gripping him harder than any enemy could. When the power returned, one ship was missing. Completely gone from the formation, not destroyed, not damaged, just gone. Space where it had been was now empty. Scanners showed nothing. Debris count was 0. The officers whispered to each other. "Did it jump?" someone asked. But the navigation log said no. It had never moved. Kareth shouted for a full sweep. Panic slipped into his voice for the first time in years. Another officer screamed that they had lost another signal. Then another within seconds. 3 ships were gone, erased without trace. The admiral clenched his claws and stared at the void beyond the viewport. "Show me what's out there," he demanded. The sensors slowly built a fuzzy image, a silhouette taking shape. It looked like a ship, but not like any alien design. Its hull was long, angular, scarred with battle marks, faint symbols written in a language older than their empire. The computer tried to translate, but only one word appeared. Valkyrie. The bridge went silent, even the hum of the engines felt distant. Kareth felt his pride crumble as he stared at the myth made real. "That cannot be," he whispered. "It was only a story." Then the strange ship moved. No thrusters, no visible energy. Just a slow, graceful drift toward them. Every system began to flicker again. Power surges rippled through the fleet. Weapons refused to respond. Shields overloaded. Kareth yelled to fire everything, but nothing worked. The ship in front of them shimmered like a ghost, impossible to lock onto. And then, in the darkest silence, a voice echoed inside every mind on every ship. It was calm, human, and ancient. "You have trespassed." The words weren't heard by ears but felt by souls, carrying a weight that made every creature on those ships fall silent. Kareth tried to respond, but his mouth went dry. "Identify yourself," he forced out. But the voice only repeated, "You have trespassed." Then, a blinding flash erupted outside and 30,000 kilometers away. One of the destroyers turned into light and vanished. No explosion, just disintegration. Pure energy erased it from existence. The mysterious ship stood still again, unmoving, quiet, but its presence filled the entire sector with dread. The fleet of the proud Zorak Empire now floated like insects before a sleeping god. Kareth could not breathe. He knew this was no myth. It was a warning. A reminder that some human creations were never meant to die. He turned to his officers, his voice trembling. "Signal retreat," he said. "Now." But before his command could be carried out, the voice came again. "Observation complete." The sensors flared. Gravity distorted, and then the ship simply vanished, leaving behind an empty silence deeper than space itself. For hours no one spoke. No one dared. Kareth sat frozen in his chair, realizing that every rumor was true. Humanity's ghost ship had returned and it was awake. Echoes in the void. The wreckage of silence followed the Zorak fleet wherever they moved. Every captain aboard trembled, unsure if they were still being watched. The ghostly event had shattered their confidence. The void itself felt alive now, whispering in low static tones through the comms. Admiral Kareth sat alone in his command chair, staring at the blackness beyond the glass. His claws tapped against the metal armrest, each sound sharp, echoing the unease in his heart. Reports from surviving ships came in fragmented, words fading mid-sentence, voices filled with panic. Some claimed to hear a faint human voice repeating a single phrase. Observation complete. Even after systems were shut down, the engineers couldn't explain it. The data logs made no sense. Each time the computers tried to record the unknown energy, the entire system crashed, leaving corrupted symbols on the screen, symbols that when translated matched ancient Terran script. Kareth's second-in-command approached carefully, her voice trembling. "Admiral, sensors show faint distortions ahead." "It's moving with us," he didn't reply. His eyes remained fixed on the emptiness. Deep down, he already knew. It was still there, watching, waiting. "Send a probe," he ordered quietly. The small drone detached from the main ship, drifting toward the distortion. Seconds passed. Then minutes. The crew watched the monitor. The drone transmitted static. Then an image, an old metal hull covered in ash-gray plating. Its design unmistakably human. The signal died before they could capture more. The crew gasped and one whispered, "It's the same ship." Another added, "It's following us." Kareth rose slowly, his voice now lower, almost hollow. "Plot a course out of this sector. Use maximum warp." But as soon as the engines charged, the gravity field around the fleet twisted. Alarms blared. Space folded around them. The ships couldn't move. The Valkyrie appeared again, not through light, but as a distortion, a shape that reality itself seemed afraid to define. Its surface shimmered like water over glass, flickering in and out of existence, and then, like a ghost emerging from darkness, the human ship revealed itself fully, its hull scarred yet unbroken, ancient insignias glowing faintly like eyes opening after centuries of sleep. Then a voice echoed once more, calm, human, unyielding. "Identify yourselves." The alien officers froze. None dared respond. Kareth gathered his courage, pressing the comm switch. "We are of the Zorak Empire. This is Admiral Kareth commanding Fleet 7C. We mean no harm." The silence stretched for several seconds before the voice returned. "No harm? You trespassed where the ashes of humanity sleep." Kareth swallowed hard. "We received no warning. Your kind has been gone for centuries," he said. "We thought humanity extinct." There was a pause. Then the voice replied, slow and cold, "Extinct? No, merely forgotten." And then the stars shifted. The entire space around them folded again. Kareth's fleet spun out of formation, ships colliding as magnetic storms erupted. One frigate exploded instantly, swallowed by a burst of white light. The rest were thrown miles apart, their systems crippled, their crews screaming in confusion. When the distortion cleared, only 7 ships remained functional. The rest were either gone or drifting lifeless. The Valkyrie hovered silently above them, its weapons offline yet radiating raw power that no alien technology could comprehend. Kareth stood trembling. Why? Why are you attacking us?" "Defense protocol active," the voice answered. "Human space must remain untouched," Kareth shouted in anger. "There is no human space. Humanity is gone." The voice grew quieter, almost sorrowful. "As long as I exist, humanity endures." The communication cut, and a pulse of light spread across the void. Scanners overloaded again, and the Valkyrie vanished. Kareth's fleet limped toward the nearest relay station, broken, terrified, unable to explain what they had witnessed. When they reached the Galactic Council, the story spread like wildfire. Officials laughed, calling it superstition, propaganda from a defeated admiral. Yet the recordings spoke for themselves. Static echoes of a human voice repeating the same phrase. "As long as I exist, humanity endures." In the following days, more fleets went missing. Patrols near the outer systems reported phantom readings, signals resembling human transmissions, long-dead frequencies broadcasting ancient Earth music through the void. Whispers spread among the stars once more, louder this time. The ghost ship wasn't just real, it was awake. and it was guarding something far greater than anyone had imagined. The survivors' fear days turned into weeks since the encounter with Valkyrie. Yet Admiral Kareth could still hear that human voice echoing in his mind. "As long as I exist, humanity endures." The phrase haunted his every dream. It felt less like a warning and more like a prophecy. Only 7 ships had survived, and out of thousands of crew members, fewer than 400 remained. Most refused to speak, their minds scarred by what they had seen. Engineers could not repair the ships properly because every system that had scanned Valkyrie was now permanently corrupted. Screens flickered with human script no one could translate. Some even swore they heard whispers from their consoles when alone. When Kareth finally reached the Galactic Council, he expected to be met with questions. Instead, he was met with laughter. Counselor Varn leaned back in his chair, his golden scales glinting under the chamber light. "You are telling us, Admiral, that an ancient human ship destroyed 30 of your finest warships using ghost energy?" he mocked. "Do you realize how absurd that sounds?" Kareth slammed his claws on the table, his voice shaking. "Absurd? I watched it happen. Our sensors failed, our weapons were useless. That ship was not bound by physics, it bent them." The counselors exchanged amused glances. The Chancellor, an old and cunning being named Harith, spoke calmly. "Even if what you say is true, Admiral, humanity has been extinct for over 5 centuries. The Terran system is barren. Their world burned during their civil wars," Kareth growled under his breath. "Then explain the human voice. Explain the ship that called itself Valkyrie." But the Council dismissed him, labeling his report as stress-induced hallucination. They stripped him of command, forced him into isolation, and sealed his files under classified mythological anomaly. But rumors had already spread. Among the lower ranks, soldiers whispered of the Ghost of Sol, the human protector that punished invaders. Traders began avoiding the rim sectors. Even pirates changed their routes, claiming strange signals followed them if they entered old Terran space. Meanwhile, deep beneath the Galactic Council archives, an old scholar named Dr. Thalen Mir studied Kareth's logs. He was a historian of pre-war civilizations, fascinated by humanity's forgotten legacy. As he read the fragmented data, his eyes widened. "The frequency patterns. This isn't new," he muttered, pulling old archives from a restricted database. He found the same signal, identical in rhythm and tone, recorded over 900 years ago, during the last war between humans and the Galactic Dominion. He played the old file and the ancient human voice spoke through static. Project Valkyrie status, autonomous defense. Activation conditional, upon human extinction or external invasion of Sol. Talen's breath caught. The message was clear. Valkyrie was never destroyed. It was sleeping, waiting for someone to cross into what remained of Earth's boundary. He rushed to present his findings to the Council, but they dismissed him too, calling him delusional. No human ship could survive a millennium, they said, and even if it did, its systems would have decayed. But Thalen persisted, showing the energy readings matched the current incidents exactly. The Council finally agreed to send a verification fleet, not to study, but to destroy whatever it was. Kareth, locked in his quarters, overheard the news from his guards. He smiled bitterly. "Fools," he whispered. "You'll never understand what you're waking." 3 cycles later, the fleet left the Council's homeworld, 200 ships strong, led by Admiral Rekal, the most arrogant and confident leader of the Zorak military. He promised to bring back the Valkyrie's wreckage as a trophy. As the ships entered human space, silence greeted them. No resistance, no transmissions. Only old satellites drifting lifelessly between planets. The Earth below looked gray, dead, wrapped in a quiet dust storm. But Thalen, watching remotely, noticed something strange. The satellites weren't random debris. They were positioned, forming a pattern that pulsed faint energy signatures. He realized with horror. "It's a warning network," he gasped. "They've triggered it." Then, across the solar system, dormant machinery began to hum. The moons of Jupiter flickered with faint blue light, forgotten defense stations aligning toward the invaders, and deep beneath the surface of Mars, sensors activated that hadn't responded for centuries. A low, resonating signal rippled through space. The same heartbeat rhythm Kareth had heard before. From the shadows beyond Neptune, a light appeared, slow and deliberate, growing brighter, closer until its form became clear. The Valkyrie had returned, and this time it wasn't alone. Hundreds of smaller human drones followed it. Sleek, metallic ghosts, their hulls marked with forgotten military codes. their weapons humming with ancient but unstoppable energy. They surrounded the alien fleet silently, forming a perfect sphere. Then Valkyrie's voice echoed across every frequency. Unauthorized presence detected in Terran boundary. Admiral Rykal sneered. Prepare all weapons, destroy the anomaly, but Thalen, watching the transmission from afar, whispered softly, "Don't fire. It's not an anomaly. It's humanity's memory." And in the blink of an eye, the battle for Sol began. Armada of Arrogance, the Council named it Operation Cleansing Dawn. A title chosen to sound glorious, but every historian knew arrogance when they heard it. 200 of the most advanced warships ever built formed up near the edge of human space, weapons fully charged, banners of every galactic empire flying beside them. It was supposed to be a show of strength, a way to erase the humiliation Kareth had caused. From the command ship Vornus Rex, Admiral Rykal stood before the vast view of the stars, his voice cold and proud. "We will crush this phantom and prove humanity is nothing but dust," he declared. His officers cheered, blind to the fear lurking beneath their excitement. Dr. Thalen watched the armada depart through the broadcast feed, his heart sinking. "They don't understand," he whispered. "They're walking into a graveyard that still remembers how to kill." His warning reports had been ignored, sealed under military secrecy, his messages to the admirals deleted before they reached them. When the fleet crossed into the Sol system, the scanner showed nothing unusual, no ships, no signals, just quiet space filled with drifting human relics. They laughed, mocking the myths. "This is what frightened the Council?" One captain sneered, "A graveyard of rust," but moments later, the stars flickered again. The same rhythmic pulse began, slow, deliberate, like the beating of a colossal heart. Communications filled with interference. Each ship's screen flashing the same Terran word in bright red. Warning. Then from the shadow of Mars, Valkyrie appeared, larger than any ship in their fleet. Its hull still scarred, yet shining faintly under the weak sunlight. Energy ripples surrounded it like a shield made of light. Hundreds of small drones followed in precise formation, their movements synchronized like a single being. Admiral Rykal smiled arrogantly. "So this is the legend? Fire all batteries." The fleet unleashed its fury. Thousands of plasma bolts, antimatter warheads, and beam cannons tore through the void. The explosions painted space in gold and blue. But when the light cleared, Valkyrie was untouched. The human ship emitted a single pulse, invisible to the eye but strong enough to twist gravity itself. Every alien projectile bent backward mid-flight. Returning to its source, ships exploded in their own fire. Fleets tore themselves apart without a single human shot fired. On the bridge of the Vornus Rex, Rykal's officers screamed as the hull cracked. Sparks rained from every console. Gravity fluctuated wildly. "It's rewriting physics," one scientist gasped. "Our weapons are useless." Rykal refused to accept it. "No machine is invincible," he shouted, ordering another attack. But before his command reached the systems, a voice filled every ship once again, calm and eternal. "You were warned." Every vessel froze mid-maneuver. Engines offline, reactors silent. The stars themselves seemed to fade, and then, one by one, ships began to vanish, not destroyed, erased as if history itself forgot they had ever existed. Dr. Thalen watched the transmissions in horror, unable to look away. He realized Valkyrie was not just defending space, it was erasing threats from existence, rewriting reality through a technology humanity had created at the edge of extinction, something even they had feared. Then suddenly the feed went dark. The entire network crashed. Power grids failed across the Council's core worlds. Panic erupted as systems everywhere reported impossible errors, all traced to the same origin, Sol system. The war was over before it even began. Out of 200 ships, only one returned, its crew catatonic, eyes empty. Their final transmission repeated a broken message. It spoke. It said, "We endure." The galaxy fell into silence. No empire dared approach Earth again. Entire star sectors were marked forbidden, and rumors spread faster than light. Some said Valkyrie still roamed the edge of space. Others claimed to hear ancient Earth music echoing through the void. But Dr. Thalen knew the truth. He decoded the last hidden line in the corrupted transmission. It read, "Phase 2, initiated, awakening sequence." Humanity's ghost ship was not only defending, it was awakening something far greater, something buried beneath Earth itself. The awakening of humanity. The galaxy lay quiet after the massacre, fleets destroyed, leaders humbled. And every race that once mocked human myths now whispered the name Valkyrie, with trembling voices. Entire sectors were marked as restricted. No ship dared to enter Sul again, but even in that silence something had changed. Something ancient had begun to stir beneath the dust of Earth. Dr. Thalen sat alone in his research chamber, watching fragments of corrupted transmissions looping endlessly. The words Phase 2 initiated blinked on his monitor. He didn't sleep. He couldn't because deep in his heart he knew what it meant. Humanity was not extinct. They had planned for this. They had prepared a final safeguard, a last promise to rise again if ever threatened. He traced the last energy pulse from Valkyrie to an impossible location. Not in orbit, not beneath the oceans, but within Earth itself. A pulse resonating from the planet's iron core, repeating at exact intervals. It wasn't random, it was a message. He decrypted the signal, and a calm human voice spoke from the past. If you hear this transmission, it means the stars have forgotten us, but we have not forgotten the stars. Thalen froze. The voice belonged to Commander Althea Morgan, the original creator of Project Valkyrie. Her logs described the plan to store human consciousness inside quantum vaults buried within Earth's mantle, entire minds digitized, preserved, waiting for reactivation. When the galaxy turns hostile, the voice continued, Valkyrie will awaken, defend, and rebuild. We will rise when our home is threatened. At that same moment, on the far side of the moon, the ancient Terran relay stations powered on. Satellites that hadn't moved in centuries adjusted their orbits, aligning perfectly into a global network. Light spread across Earth's surface, massive rings of energy glowing beneath the crust. Valkyrie itself descended slowly through the atmosphere. For the first time in 1,000 years, its hull touched Earth's gravity again. Storms erupted across the planet. Oceans boiled with electromagnetic heat. Mountains split open as enormous underground vaults emerged from beneath the crust. Alien observers across nearby systems watched in terror, their sensors blinded by the rising surge of energy. One of them whispered, "The planet is waking up," and then, the skies filled with light, thousands of luminous forms rising from the vaults. Human constructs, artificial bodies carrying the preserved consciousness of Earth's fallen, their eyes glowing with data streams, their armor reflecting starlight, each one carrying the same emblem, the symbol of humanity's united command. Sol Defense Network. Dr. Thalen, still watching through the station feed, whispered in disbelief, "They are." "Reborn," Valkyrie's voice thundered across every channel. Phase 2 complete. Human restoration protocol engaged. Directive. Reclaim. Rebuild, remember. From orbit the world changed. The broken cities reignited with power. The skies filled with ships rising from hidden hangars. Drones repaired ancient satellites. Human voices once lost began to sing again through radio frequencies. It was as if the planet itself was remembering who it used to be. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, panic spread among the alien empires. Their leaders argued. Some wanted to make peace. Others demanded a preemptive strike, but none dared to move. Because the images coming from Earth showed something no weapon could stop. Unity. Resurrection and purpose. Admiral Kareth, who once faced Valkyrie, stood on his balcony watching the night sky, the stars flickering like eyes watching him back. He smiled faintly. "You were right," he whispered. They were never gone. Back on Earth, one of the newly awakened humans looked up at the sky, their synthetic eyes glimmering with both machine light and human emotion. "The stars forgot us," she said softly, "but we never forgot them." Valkyrie hovered above, its lights dimming as it transmitted its final message across the galaxy. Every empire, every planet, every ship received it simultaneously. Humanity has returned, and this time, we do not seek war, only remembrance. But as the message faded, deep beneath the surface, new engines began to power on. Colossal structures awakening far below the mantle, systems that even Valkyrie had never controlled. And the planet itself whispered. Phase 3. Initialization pending. Dr. Thalen watched the readings climb higher, his voice trembling with awe. They're not just awakening, they're evolving. The galaxy had feared one human ship. Now it would have to face an entire civilization reborn from myth.